Welcome all to new video on the history of Indian Navy. The Indian Navy, an integral part of India's defense forces, has a history that stretches back thousands of years. From the ancient maritime traditions of early Indian civilizations to its modern status as one of the world's leading naval forces, the Indian Navy has played a crucial role in the protection and projection of India's maritime interests. This essay traces the history of the Indian Navy, highlighting its development from ancient times through the colonial era to the present day. India's maritime history is among the oldest in the world, dating back to the early days of the Indus Valley Civilization, circa 33,001,300 BCE. The people of this civilization were known for their trade and commerce, establishing sea routes to Mesopotamia, Egypt, and other distant lands. Lodil, a major port city of the Indus Valley Civilization, had a well-designed dockyard, indicating the advanced maritime skills of ancient Indians. During the Vedic period, circa 1,500,500 BCE, references to sea voyages and trade across the seas appear in ancient Indian scriptures, including the Rig Veda. The seafaring traditions of this era laid the foundation for a rich maritime culture that would continue to develop over the centuries. The Maurya Empire, 322,185 BCE, under Emperor Chandragupta Maurya, is credited with establishing the first organized naval force in Indian history. The empire recognized the importance of controlling the seas to protect its trade routes and to expand its influence across the Indian Ocean. Kautilya, also known as Chanakya, the chief advisor to Chandragupta, wrote about the importance of naval power in his treatise, the Arthashastra. The Chola dynasty, circa 9th–13th century CE, in South India took India's maritime power to new heights. The Cholas built a powerful navy that dominated the seas, particularly in Southeast Asia. The Chola navy played a crucial role in the expansion of the empire, establishing control over parts of Sri Lanka, the Maldives, and Southeast Asian territories, including modern-day Malaysia and Indonesia. The naval expeditions of the Cholas are among the earliest recorded instances of Indian naval power being projected beyond the subcontinent. As India entered the medieval period, regional powers continued to build and maintain naval forces to protect their maritime interests. The rise of the Delhi Sultanate, 12,061,526, and the subsequent establishment of the Mughal Empire, 15,261,857, brought new dynamics to the Indian subcontinent's maritime activities. The Vijayanagara Empire, circa 13,361,646, one of the most powerful South Indian kingdoms during this period, maintained a strong navy to protect its trade routes along the western coast of India. The empire's ports, such as Honavar and Mangalore, were important centers of trade, and the Vijayanagara rulers understood the importance of naval power in securing their economic prosperity. The arrival of European powers in the Indian Ocean, starting with the Portuguese in the late 15th century, marked a significant shift in the region's maritime dynamics. The Portuguese established a strong naval presence in the Indian Ocean, capturing key ports such as Goa in 1510. The Portuguese navy, with its advanced ships and weaponry, was a formidable force, and it challenged the existing maritime powers in the region. The Mughal Empire, under rulers like Akbar and Aurangzeb, recognized the importance of controlling the seas, especially as European powers began to exert influence along the Indian coast. The Mughals maintained a fleet primarily for the protection of their coastal territories and trade routes, although their focus remained largely on land-based military power. The arrival of the British in India and the subsequent establishment of the British East India Company marked a turning point in Indian naval history. The British, like the Portuguese and other European powers before them, recognized the strategic importance of controlling the seas to maintain and expand their empire. The British East India Company, established in 1600, gradually extended its control over Indian territories, relying heavily on its naval power to protect its trade routes and colonies. The company established its first naval force, the Honourable East India Company's Marine, in 1612 to protect its merchant ships from piracy and to assert its dominance over other European powers. As the British East India Company expanded its control over India, the Honourable East India Company's Marine evolved into a more organized naval force. In 1830, it was renamed the Bombay Marine, and later, in 1834, it became the Indian Navy, marking the beginning of a more formal naval organization under British control. The Indian Navy under the British was primarily tasked with protecting British trade routes, supporting military campaigns, and maintaining law and order along the Indian coast. The Navy played a key role in various British military campaigns, including the First and Second Anglo-Afghan Wars, 18,391,842, 18,781,880, and the Opium Wars, 18,391,860, in China. In 1857, following the Indian Rebellion, also known as the Sepoy Mutiny, the British Crown took direct control of India, and the Indian Navy was incorporated into the Royal Navy as the Royal Indian Navy, RIN. The RIN continued to serve as a crucial arm of British colonial power in the Indian Ocean region. During World War I, 19,141,918, the Royal Indian Navy played a vital role in supporting British naval operations in the Indian Ocean and the Persian Gulf. Indian naval personnel served aboard various Royal Navy ships, and the RIN's ships were involved in patrolling the seas, escorting convoys, and protecting British interests in the region. The interwar period saw the Royal Indian Navy undergo significant modernization and expansion. The British government recognized the need to strengthen the RIN in light of the growing naval power of Japan in the Pacific and the Indian Ocean. New ships were commissioned, and the RIN's training and organizational structure were improved. World War II, 19,391,945, was a pivotal period for the Royal Indian Navy. The RIN expanded rapidly during the war, with its personnel growing from just 2,000 men in 1939 to over 30,000 by 1945. The RIN played a crucial role in the Allied war effort, particularly in the Indian Ocean and Southeast Asia. The Indian Navy was involved in numerous operations during the war, including convoy escort duties, anti-submarine warfare, and amphibious landings. Indian naval ships and personnel participated in key campaigns, such as the Battle of the Atlantic, the Burma Campaign, and the liberation of Singapore. One of the most significant contributions of the Royal Indian Navy during World War II was its involvement in the Battle of the Indian Ocean in 1942. The Japanese Navy launched a series of attacks on British naval bases in the Indian Ocean, including the devastating raid on Colombo and Trincomalee in Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. The RIN played a vital role in defending British interests in the region, despite being outmatched by the superior Japanese fleet. The war also saw the first Indian naval mutiny, known as the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny or the Bombay Mutiny, in February 1946. The mutiny began as a strike by Indian sailors in Bombay, now Mumbai, against poor working conditions, discrimination, and the slow pace of demobilization after the war. The mutiny quickly spread to other naval establishments across India, involving over 20,000 sailors. Although the mutiny was eventually suppressed, it had a significant impact on the Indian independence movement, highlighting the growing discontent among Indian soldiers and sailors serving under British rule. India gained independence from British rule on August 15, 1947, and the Indian Navy was officially established as the naval branch of the Indian Armed Forces. The partition of India and Pakistan led to the division of the Royal Indian Navy between the two countries, with India retaining the majority of the naval assets. At the time of independence, the Indian Navy was a modest force, with only a few ships and a limited number of personnel. However, the Indian government recognized the importance of building a strong navy to protect the country's vast coastline and maritime interests. The navy was restructured and modernized in the years following independence, with a focus on expanding its fleet and improving its training and infrastructure. One of the first major challenges faced by the Indian Navy was the integration of princely states into the Indian Union. Several princely states, such as Junagadh and Hyderabad, had their own naval forces, which were integrated into the Indian Navy after independence. The integration process was complex, but it laid the foundation for a unified and modern Indian Navy. The Indian Navy's first major operational deployment came during the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965. The Navy played a key role in blockading Pakistani ports and disrupting maritime supply lines. Although the war was primarily fought on land, the Navy's actions contributed to the overall success of the Indian Armed Forces. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1971 was a defining moment in the history of the Indian Navy. The war, which led to the creation of Bangladesh, saw the Indian Navy execute one of its most successful and daring operations. On December 4, 1971, the Indian Navy launched Operation Trident, a naval strike on the Pakistani port of Karachi. The operation was a resounding success, with Indian missile boats sinking several Pakistani naval vessels and destroying vital oil storage facilities in Karachi. The success of Operation Trident was followed by Operation Python, another attack on Karachi, which further crippled the Pakistani Navy. The 1971 war also saw the Indian Navy play a crucial role in the blockade of East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, preventing the Pakistani military from receiving reinforcements and supplies. The Navy's actions during the war demonstrated its growing capabilities and established it as a formidable force in the region. The Indian Navy's performance in the 1971 war earned it widespread recognition and respect, both domestically and internationally. December 4, the day of the successful Operation Trident, is celebrated as Navy Day in India, commemorating the Navy's contributions to the war effort. Following the 1971 war, the Indian Navy embarked on a program of modernization and expansion to enhance its capabilities and maintain its strategic advantage in the Indian Ocean region. The Navy focused on acquiring new ships, submarines, and aircraft, as well as improving its training and infrastructure. In the 1980s, the Indian Navy acquired its first aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant, which had previously served in the Royal Navy as HMS Hercules. The acquisition of INS Vikrant marked a significant milestone in the Navy's development, giving it the ability to project power and conduct air operations at sea. The Navy also expanded its submarine fleet during this period, acquiring Soviet-built submarines, including the Kilo-class submarines, which significantly enhanced its underwater warfare capabilities. The acquisition of these submarines allowed the Indian Navy to conduct more complex and far-reaching naval operations. The Indian Navy's modernization efforts also included the development of indigenous shipbuilding capabilities. The Mazagon Dock shipbuilders in Mumbai and the Garden Reach shipbuilders and engineers in Kolkata became key centers for the construction of warships and submarines. The development of indigenous shipbuilding capabilities was a significant step towards self-reliance in defense production. In addition to acquiring new platforms, the Indian Navy focused on enhancing its training and operational readiness. The establishment of the Indian Naval Academy in Azimala, Kerala, in 1986, provided a state-of-the-art training facility for naval officers. The academy became the primary training institution for the Indian Navy, producing highly skilled and professional officers. The 21st century has seen the Indian Navy continue its trajectory of growth and modernization, becoming one of the most powerful and respected naval forces in the world. The Navy's role has expanded beyond traditional defense to include a wide range of missions, such as maritime security, humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, and international cooperation. One of the most significant developments in the Indian Navy's recent history was the induction of INS Vikramaditya, a modified Kiev-class aircraft carrier, in 2013. INS Vikramaditya, along with the indigenous aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, represents the Navy's commitment to maintaining a strong carrier-based aviation capability. The development of the indigenous aircraft carrier program is a testament to India's growing defense production capabilities. The Indian Navy has also focused on expanding its submarine fleet, with the induction of the indigenously built Arihant-class nuclear-powered submarines. The Arihant-class submarines are equipped with nuclear ballistic missiles, giving India credible second strike capability and enhancing its strategic deterrence. In addition to its traditional roles, the Indian Navy has taken on a leading role in regional and international maritime security. The Navy has been at the forefront of anti-piracy operations in the Gulf of Aden, where it has successfully protected commercial shipping from pirate attacks. The Indian Navy's presence in the region has contributed to the safety and security of vital sea lanes of communication. The Indian Navy has also played a crucial role in humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, HADR, Operations. The Navy's response to the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, the 2014 evacuation of Indian citizens from Yemen, Operation Rahat, and the 2020 mission to deliver COVID-19 relief supplies to Indian Ocean island nations are examples of its contributions to global humanitarian efforts. The Indian Navy's international engagements have also expanded significantly in the 21st century. The Navy regularly participates in joint exercises and naval diplomacy with countries around the world, including the United States, Japan, Australia, and France. The Malabar exercise, conducted annually with the U.S. Navy and other partner navies, is one of the most significant naval exercises in the Indo-Pacific region. As the Indian Navy continues to grow and modernize, it faces several challenges in the 21st century. The rise of China as a major naval power in the Indo-Pacific region has led to increased competition and strategic challenges for the Indian Navy. The Chinese Navy's expanding presence in the Indian Ocean, including the establishment of a military base in Djibouti, has raised concerns in India about the security of its maritime interests. The Indian Navy also faces the challenge of maintaining a balance between modernization and budget constraints. The acquisition of advanced platforms, such as aircraft carriers, submarines, and naval aircraft, requires significant investment, and the Navy must prioritize its spending to ensure that it can meet its strategic objectives. Despite these challenges, the Indian Navy remains committed to maintaining its status as a leading naval power in the Indo-Pacific region. The Navy's modernization efforts, including the development of next-generation warships, submarines, and unmanned systems, will play a crucial role in enhancing its capabilities. The Indian Navy's focus on indigenization and self-reliance in defense production is also a key factor in its future growth. The ongoing development of indigenous platforms, such as the P-75I submarine project and the Indigenous Aircraft Carrier Program, will reduce dependence on foreign suppliers and enhance India's defense capabilities. The history of the Indian Navy is a story of resilience, adaptation, and strategic foresight. From its ancient roots in the maritime traditions of the Indus Valley Civilization to its modern incarnation as a blue water navy, the Indian Navy has played a crucial role in shaping India's history and protecting its maritime interests. The Indian Navy's journey from a modest force at the time of independence to one of the world's leading naval powers is a testament to India's commitment to securing its place in the global maritime domain. As the Navy continues to grow and modernize, it will face new challenges and opportunities, but its legacy of excellence and professionalism will guide it into the future. The Indian Navy's contributions to regional and global security, its role in humanitarian assistance, and its commitment to maintaining peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region have earned it respect and recognition worldwide. As the Indian Navy sails into the 21st century, it carries with it the rich traditions and lessons of its storied past, ready to meet the challenges of a